Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show. Yo, Shortbox Nation. Look, I'm only here at the top to let y'all know we're switching it up this week. The crew and I decided to unlock a Patreon episode for everyone to enjoy. And not just any Patreon episode, but episode 6 from our new spin-off podcast, Pilot's License. And if I'm being honest with you guys, Pilot's License is really just an excuse for me and the crew to watch our favorite comic book Saturday morning cartoons and other favorite animated shows. So far, we've done some pretty awesome episodes on Batman the Animated Series, TMNT, the OG version at that, Silver Surfer, and a whole lot more. This episode is all about Spawn, the animated series, Todd McFarlane's hyper-violent spin on Batman the Animated Series. So if you enjoy us talking about, you know, these great comic book cartoons and maybe some of your favorite animated shows growing up, consider checking out the rest of our Pilot's License series. We just did an episode about Disney's Gargoyle series, and we'll be putting a big old spotlight on WB classics like Justice League Unlimited. That episode will drop this week, and next month will be Batman Beyond. So you don't want to miss out on any of those, or really any extra Shortbox content if we're being honest. Consider joining our Patreon community at patreon.com/theshortbox, or click the link in the show notes to become a supporter and friend of the show. Look, you already know what Cesar would tell you. Do I really got to repeat it? You know how he feels about Patreon, your money. I mean, just check it out. Do me that at least, okay? But until then, let's get back to this episode, which starts right about now. Let's go.
What would you do if at the moment of death, a voice from the darkness offered you the chance to live again? Have your answer? There's no time to think about it. Your heartbeat away from flatlining. Quick, what's the answer? I'm Todd McFarlane, and I created Spawn. I hope you'll consider the question I've just posed, because a man named Al Simmons didn't.
Ashley, tell me, how much did you love those Todd McFarlane intros? Because you texted me yesterday and you said that you probably watched every single one of those awesome Todd McFarlane.
He's no Rod Serling.
So I got through, yeah. It reminded me of Jerry's Thoughts. You know Jerry Springer? He would do Jerry's Thoughts.
Oh,
that's what it. Because the third one. Did you guys make it to the third one?
I own every episode
with the intros.
I was telling Ashley earlier. It's like the version I have that's been on my hard drive for a decade. It's the home release version where they cut those out, and they basically cut like 3 or 4 episodes together.
Yep,
and they totally cut them out.
Is that the DVD re-release?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah,
I downloaded that by legitimately.
Sure. Because the version I watched on YouTube was the 1 hour first half of season 1, so I didn't get to experience that. But I did tell Ashley that I'd rewatch them to partake in the torture. And I did.
What if you went to hell? The devil made you a deal.
And I wasn't expecting.
What if you were a
He's like
black
drawing
guy in the
something.
90s?
He always has to be drawing something.
Yeah.
Well, he's only drawing something on what looks like the same church that Venom got his fucking symbiote. And we happen to stumble upon him. Oh, hello.
I didn't see you there.
I like to actually live in
I
a
wish it had
warehouse.
like skulls and more candles and stuff, like true horror.
He's got like that meat hook behind him.
He does, yeah, that's true. He does have a meat hook behind him.
What does he got? Like, he's performing. Oh, sorry, Todd. Did I catch you perform a seance in here? My bad.
I didn't see you there, friend. Come on in.
My favorite version of that is the Seth MacFarlane. I think he was doing some sort of hosting duties on Adult Swim, and he's just chilling out. And he's got like his, Sinatra suit on. He's got a, glass of whiskey, right? And then the camera rolls on him real quiet, and he goes, instead of, the classic, "Oh, I didn't see you there," he goes, "Oh, you scared the shit out of me."
What are you doing in my house?
It's freaking great.
Damn, Tom McFarlane, boy. Were any of you guys watching this series as it was coming out?
Fuck no.
No way. I didn't have HBO.
Neither did I.
I think.
Ashley?
No, I wasn't.
You sure, Ashley? This looks like a show.
Ashley's like, I worked on it.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I was one of the producers.
I voiced Violator. What are you guys talking about?
See that boy getting shot in the head? I did colors on that.
And I can't recall the name of what's the name of the main mobster? Was it
Tony Twist.
Tony
He
Twist.
got
Sorry,
sued.
my apologies.
And lost.
Wait, what's the story on that?
Oh, this is a hockey player named Tony Twist, who he named it after.
Okay.
And Todd would say, I don't even know who that is. And then the next thing is like, there's a Wizard article, which he says that's where he got the name.
Right.
So it was like, $1 million. It was crazy. It was like $1 million lawsuit.
Damn.
Yeah. I would think it'd be cool, but I'm not,
Well, I mean, he did portray him as like, some
but he was
sleazy ass.
As far as I remember,
You say
Tony
sleazy?
Twist.
I say gangsta.
I don't know that.
Yeah, no,
That purple G-string was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I bring up Tony Twist because that
Was that episode one?
that first it was episode
Okay.
1. That first scene in episode 1 where you meet Tony Twist and he's got like
He's
two
having
chicks.
a threesome.
Yeah, threesome.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
he's watching.
the
He's kind of-
exact moment that I vividly remember my dad pausing it and
Boobs.
saying, "I need you guys to go ahead and leave the room." And that was
I
the
need some
last
alone time.
That was the last time I had seen that show. So it was nice to.
But there were boobs before that, weren't there? In the
I think
flashback?
my dad was hoping that was just a one-off,
just like a
okay,
little
all
quick
all all
sneak it
that's-
by you,
that's it.
boobs.
Daddy
Nothing about the
needs-
violence.
Daddy needs some alone time, buddy.
Oh, it's American. We love violence. But
He's like,
boobs we
"Ooh,
can't have."
I'm fucking sweating here, son. Get out of here.
And honestly, I have not seen that show since. And I mean, I was definitely a little kid
Oh, man.
when we tried to watch it for the first time. I think he had it on like some bootleg
Your head would have
VHS.
exploded.
Oh,
You would have been a little
so
boy.
good.
Your body would not have known what to do with that information.
I want him to know that I understand. I even at the ripe age of 32, I was
Even
not
cartoon
ready.
boobs, you'd have been like, "Oh, I got a fever of 101." They had to admit you into the hospital. Your little body hadn't gone through puberty yet. You'd have been like, "Oh my god, get him to Orange Park Medical, quick!"
It's gonna be like Rod and Todd freaking out.
Right.
Oh my god!
Go to your
man.
room, boys.
Let me go ahead and welcome our patrons. That's good. Yo, Shortbox patrons, welcome to the 6th episode of our bonus podcast series, Pilot's License. It's a series where we revisit the pilot episode of a classic comic book cartoon or animated show and compare it with its comic counterpart. And since this is a Patreon exclusive series, I'm confident most of you are familiar with the show and how we do it. But just for decorum's sakes, I'm here with Botter Milligan, joined by my full crew today, which includes Cesar Cordero,
You have 10 seconds to give up your money.
Oh.
Time's up. What are you going to do?
Edmund Dan Zarterofuss,
Yep.
and Ashley Laney Hoyle.
Hey.
And if you're listening to this episode, it means that you are an active Patreon subscriber, helping us keep the lights on here at the Shortbox Studio so we can continue to make great content and produce episodes of this podcast like the one you're enjoying now. We don't take the support and contributions from you guys lightly. We appreciate you for giving us your fucking money. As Cesar would say. I'm quoting Cesar.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Hey, man, you're really intense. I need you to calm down. I don't think you're allowed to watch Spawn anymore.
Yeah, no more Spawn.
Honestly,
you know what? You know what? Your parents made the right choice. You've been sitting here running around with like chains, trying to strangle people, beating up homeless men.
Oh.
My mom would probably put me in the corner if she realized I actually finished watching this cartoon. She'd
Jesus.
Like, no. But anyways, this will be the 6th installment of this podcast series, and we're covering, no surprise, Spawn, the animated series, also known as Todd McFarlane's Spawn. It originally aired on HBO from 1997 through 1999, actually winning an Emmy for Outstanding Animation Program its last year. It was suggested to us by Corey Torgeson.
You sick bastard.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, wow, Corey, this is what you're into? Not tea. He actually selected this back in our January poll. Speaking of which, we got one more topic from that poll to cover, and it stars another brooding hero voiced by Keith David. It'll be Gargoyles. That'll be the next one.
Seems to be a theme.
That we do. That one was selected by another patron, of course, Blake. And then after we do Gargoyles, we'll be looking for more suggestions for future episodes from patrons like yourself.
There is a Gargoyles comic, the Star Comics.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
Oh, Star Comics being the imprint from Marvel for their kids line, right?
Commercial
Got
toys
it. Good looking out, Ed.
merchandise.
That's
Like,
good
I
stuff.
believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it was Star. It could be after that though.
Yeah, probably Star Epic maybe, but good looking out. But before we begin this episode, I do encourage anyone interested in following along fully to go ahead and watch episode 1, or maybe watch the first half of season 1 that's readily available on YouTube. I'll link that in the show notes for you. And if you want full credit, maybe consider revisiting the first issue of the series from 1992. I know the comic book is available on a few online platforms. I personally read it as part of the Spawn Origins collection.
You can actually, read it on Image's site. It's free on their site. You can read issue 1. They have a bunch of issue ones.
That's right. That's right. Good looking out. All right, I'll link that in the show notes. So I'll link the Image website. But you can read issue 1 for free apparently, and you can also purchase the full volume 1 collection on Comixology. But look, if you're a busy person, no worries. It's not a requirement. We got you covered. Ashley, did you start with the comic or the cartoon? And did you feel like it made any difference? Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
So I started with the comic. I usually, when we're doing stuff like this, I like to do the comic first. So if I would have started with the show, I don't know if I would have really had it in me to read the comic. I watched 3 episodes of that show.
Oh my God.
And then I just didn't even want to get off the couch. It was just so
too dark for Ashley.
gloomy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And just, it made me feel like I had my heart was made out of rock.
Ooh.
I was just, I don't know. I can't describe it. I just felt dead inside after watching that.
Wow.
So it's definitely safe to say the cartoon would not have inspired you to possibly go to the
Did
comic
not
stores and pick it up.
Inspire me to do anything.
Well, how did the comic do for you?
The comic was fun. I think the pacing of it was a little bit better. It kind of kept me more entertained than the actual show. I don't know. I think if it was up to me, I would have just read or watched the first episode, but I feel like I had to watch the first 3 just to kind of because it had a story arc going. The first issue of the comic, you could have just finished it and that's it. It didn't really get you going into a story arc like the show did.
Yeah, I think that the comic for me ended like a number 1 would, right?
Yeah.
Where it doesn't give you enough answers, but it's meant to get you on the hook for issue 2 the next week, and and so on and so on. And I felt the same way about the show. I feel like if I would have stopped at episode 1, it would have. I don't know. I think the first story arc is a good one to at least run through. See, I wanted to go to you because when I think of Spawn fans and people in my life that I consider like my go-to kind of Spawn guys, you definitely come to mind. And I was curious, what made you a fan of the character initially? And has he remained a character that you still keep up with?
Yes, well, thank you, my brother. First off, let me tell you that the reason why I fuck with Spawn is because it is perfectly indicative of the black man's station in America. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Yes, I do.
No, you shouldn't, because it was created by a fucking Canadian guy who has no idea what he's fucking talking about. No,
this black buddy.
Right.
I put you on a comic. Don't sue me.
What do you? That should be like his mantra.
Yeah.
No, dude. As soon as Spawn came out, I'm old enough to remember going to the comic book stores and seeing the like posters, like, "Hey, Spawn is coming." Right.
Big deal.
Be careful, and they would show the counter, right? Like it would be like 99999, whatever, and you're like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" And then after it came out, it was just like, "Oh shit!" Like. This is really weird. And you can kind of tell that when Todd McFarlane first created the character, it was a science fiction sort of Star Wars type thing where he's like, just based on the costumes and how weird and kind of sci-fi it is. If anything, Spawn is essentially Dante's Inferno mixed with Flash Gordon. But it's weird to say it, because I stuck with it for a long time. And I guess the designs of the characters, the artwork kind of snagged me. And also, the story was good. The story was wordy. It felt like I was reading Frank Miller because Frank Miller's wordy.
Especially with like the TV heads.
Yeah, the news
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting here and I'm just like, okay. And I stuck with it for a while. I guess I fell off, but I fell off from comics in general at the time. And, it's the cool thing about Todd is he's consistently been writing it and putting it out, like that is his baby. So it's like, all right, well, there's nothing stopping me from jumping on board and diving, deep. And he always gets like badass artists to do, the work that he started out doing, like he knows what he's looking for. So
he surrounds himself with good people, which is super smart.
Super talented. Yeah.
And another thing with that comic too is just that was like kind of the beginning of that digital coloring.
Yeah.
So those pages were like, you're reading Marvel when they were kind of getting cheap.
Right.
You pick up Spawn or like any of those image titles, like what?
Plastic. You're like, what is, shiny.
Yes, shiny. It's just like that cover even though the cover is traditionally colored, but it's just pops off the shelf. That all that red and green that just popped off the shelf. And when you're a kid, at least when I was a kid, it was all about artwork for me.
Right.
Same. The story was like, whatever. I wanted to see cool pictures, and that was one of the coolest looking books.
Yeah, it's a mic drop. Like it's a ginormous mic drop because he's like, all right, you guys can, talk about like, well, we're going to have like Galactus is the bad guy, or we're going to have fucking the Joker. Tom McFarlane's like the classic, well, fuck you guys. Who's the biggest bad guy? The devil. So, the fucking devil's going to be my antagonist in my story.
That? I don't know if it's quite a fuck you, but there was like a lot of like, just noticing some visual elements. Cause this is basically his like, oh, you like Frank Miller? Fuck you. I got the TV guys here, the news reporters on the TV. Oh, you like that 9-panel grid, Dave Gibbons? Fuck you. I'll do a couple pages of 9-panel things. Oh, you like Spider-Man? Fuck you. I'm going to do these spider web borders on these pages.
I'm going to use chains instead of webbing.
Yeah. It's like, oh my, that whole comic is like, I can do that all, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Here it is.
I mean, he's got good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that as far as, mic drop. Because reading issue 1, I had to admit to myself, like, I'm familiar with Spawn, but I didn't know the full story. Like, I didn't know what Spawn's whole, take was, other than wanting to see his wife. But I guess I didn't get into the whole, war between heaven and hell and all that.
Yeah, Hell's Pawn. Yeah. Hell Spawn.
I'm
Devil's
not
in the first
quickest
issue.
Yeah, I'm not the quickest. Quickest picker upper. But, but when I got it, I was like, well, damn, yeah, Todd McFarlane is he's extreme. So what is the most extreme story you could think of? Like, a literal fight between, a good and evil.
He has to sell a comic that hasn't been established
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Like that's got history. Superman is so iconic, right? How do you get the highest stakes ever for a character nobody has ever heard of? You pit him against the devil.
Yes.
You know, like you pull out all the stops because this is your chance at trying to make it, you know?
But you keep that like bright superhero costume, so
course.
you get like, oh,
So you
okay,
hook people
there's a
in.
familiarity to
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yep.
So, and Ed, were you also actively buying comics when Spawn first came out?
That was probably when I was growing up. That '90s boom was kind of like my like biggest fandom of comics.
Oh, sure.
Because that's when like X-Men 1 is dropping. That's when there's comics were like stocks. People were hoarding comics, and you could get investment. There was like sites that were selling like investment tips on comics and shit. Like it was ridiculous.
Yo, here's the thing:
internet days.
it is still happening. If
It is.
not back.
It
with a
is,
vengeance.
but I don't think it was as maddening as it was.
Sure.
back
Yeah,
then.
nobody's losing money.
So that was like a big time for comic, and it was like the artists were pretty much steering the ship because it was almost like an artist-driven industry. Or at least you're looking at Jim Lee, like Eric Larson, Sam Key, all those guys, all these cool guys who were becoming household names, and that's during the time where I started associating kind of. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy all these Wolverine comics," or "I'm going to buy just X-Men," I want Mark Silvestri. I like these guys.
Miles Bertasio.
I want all those guys. So it was like a great time for growing up and liking comics because that was probably one of my biggest collecting phases.
Did you think that Spawn would still be around? Because the character and Todd McFarlane himself have celebrated Spawn 301 coming out I think last year. A world record for longest running independent comic. Would you have foreseen that happening back when it first came out?
Looking back as a kid, I didn't think about that stuff when I was a kid. But looking back and all the turbulence behind Image and all like between the creators and like all the falling outs and stuff, it's incredible that him and Eric Larson are still the last men standing with their creations.
Well said. Ashley, what was your first initial or I guess conscious exposure to Spawn and the character?
So I remember what was 90s, 90, what did this come out, the first issue? 92. Because I was pretty young, but I remember the spinner racks at the grocery store.
Hell yeah.
And I remember just like
How
looking.
insane is that Spawn at the grocery store?
Yeah,
That's
just
crazy.
seeing that on the spinner rack. And I remember it because I was a little kid and it was scary.
Yeah.
And it had like the bright green eyes.
Mhm.
But that's what I would do. My mom would grocery shop and then I would just like go through the spinner rack. And then if I'd try to buy something, she'd be like, no, put it back. But at least
You
I
have
got
Spawn at home, dear.
Yeah, at least I had time to look
You
through
are
it.
a hell Spawn, dear. Please put it back.
But yeah, from all those years ago, I remember that first issue in the spinner rack at the, I don't remember where we went, Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly. I was
Yeah.
about to say Piggly Wiggly.
Wow.
I remember bringing, my dad's comics in it was probably like, I think like 7th or 8th grade. I'd bring his comic books and I'd trade it with this kid. We would just trade books to read during class and give it back at the end of the day. And it got to a point, and I was bringing in like old Fantastic Fours and like, my dad's like old Marvel stuff. And the kid would be like, dude, you got to bring in some like newer, cooler stuff. Cause he would just give me like Spawn and stuff. And he was like, this is what's cool, man. Like you got to bring in books that like had
Edgy
action
stuff.
like
Yeah,
this, and I'm like,
90s.
this
Dude,
is all my dad's got.
I remember the commercials for the toys where it was like, you think you've had a bad day. That was the tagline. That was how they got kids
How about
into
going to
these.
hell and making a deal with the devil?
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember hearing like
So
Tom
funny.
McFarlane talk about Spawn, and like all these like grody ass dudes would come up to him and they'd be like, "Yeah, fucking awesome." And then Tom would be like, "He's black, right?" And then they would just be like, "Ugh."
Man.
Not
What?
So, kind of shift the focus back to the cartoon.
That hasn't changed much.
I will say, seeing that clock.
Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
This ties into the cartoon. I will say this, since we're kind of still talking about the comic and just now transitioning. Todd always said that he wanted Spawn to be more of a ethereal sort of force of nature and not so much like a bright, colorful costumed hero.
Mhm.
So if you read the comics, he's moving towards that, right? Like he takes the color out of Spawn's like costume motif. If you read it like now, he's straight up like just a shadowy thing that like it morphs with like the the backgrounds, or it'll like come out of, it's crazy what he is now. Yeah. Like he's always said that like Spawn is what Batman should be right now, like killing people and freaking all this stuff. But he's basically calling DC out, saying like he's a fucking pussy. Oh yeah, you're Batman's a pussy. But I was just gonna say, if you watch the cartoons, like you can already start to see like like Todd McFarlane's like, no, you shouldn't see this dude. He should just be like highlights underneath the street light, and it's the cape, and you don't know what the fuck you're looking at.
Yeah, another thing, just one last thing with the comic too. It's how many, and like I haven't read it in years until last night. So imagine how many people that he, when he dedicated it to Jack Kirby at the beginning,
right?
The inside cover. Imagine how many kids would like actually that exposed kids to, because even at that time, Kirby was an afterthought. That style wasn't extreme or 90s enough, and he was still working. But can you imagine like how like he got me? He was like, Jack Kirby, who's this guy? Right. So that's like a cool thing he did too in that issue 1.
Can you guys, do you guys remember how much or how many copies Spawn #1 sold?
Oh shit!
Over,
it's a lot.
Yeah,
1.7 million copies.
God,
I think I think the only comic that beat it out at the time, or even I think in general, even now holding the record, is still like what, X-Men #1.
Yeah.
It was either X-Men #1 or Spawn or Spider-Man #1 that Todd McFarlane
that had like
done.
35 covers.
Right.
Yeah.
I have them all.
Yeah, me too.
When I started watching the cartoon, and I think one of the first things you see is that countdown clock. It immediately made me think about the video game, because I think the video game was another one of my first conscious exposures.
The Super Nintendo game?
Yes.
Oh, that's brutal. Brutal.
Yeah.
Rough.
It was one of them super rough.
The GameCube game is choice though.
The GameCube game.
It's fucking awesome.
The 3D one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's real good.
I can't recall that one. I remember when Spawn made his first Mortal Kombat debut. I think it was in Mortal Kombat 11.
Was it? Oh, dude.
No, it wasn't Mortal
Soul
Kombat.
Calibur,
Thank
dude.
Thank you so much.
Calibur.
Soul Calibur.
Come on.
And I hated not having an Xbox, because we got whack ass
console.
For PlayStation, we got whack ass
Hayashi.
From
No weapons
Tekken.
from Tekken. Yeah.
Get
the
this
old man.
bum out of here.
I want hell, Dad.
Some old guy in pajamas.
He just
Weird
has
hair.
He just has
Man.
a flashback.
I was
That was kind of a lame choice.
Yeah,
for Sony.
I was so ungrateful whenever we got the game
Rather
for
have Crash
Christmas. I was like,
Bandicoot.
"What, Dad? Xbox is Spawn," But
Spyro the Dragon would have been better than that weak ass choice.
I think actually Spawn made another debut. He made a debut in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yes, he did.
And Keith David actually does the voicing in that
awesome.
as well.
I've got it. It's fucking great.
Ed, I wanted to go to you and kind of talk about the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But I was curious, did you learn any do you have any interesting trivia, like behind the scenes stuff related to the show?
Some interesting, trivia that I saw, because like I said, even at the time, I didn't really look at any of the background information on the show, but Keith David, who was Spawn, and then Richard Dysart, who was Cagliostro, John Carpenter's The Thing reunion. So they were both in John Carpenter's The Thing. So that's kind of cool seeing them together. And interesting kind of 6 degrees is Dominique Jennings, who plays Wanda. She was actually on the Jamie Foxx show, the sitcom. And Jamie Foxx is going to be the new Spawn if that ever comes out.
It's true.
Nice.
And then just a couple of things, like as far as like the whole look of the show, they got, Todd McFarlane, doesn't mind rating talent. The Image guys didn't. But Eric Radomski, who worked on Batman the Animated Series, so you can see that influence, because he's the one that kind of developed that like a heavy shadowed look, that chiaroscuro. You like that?
Very nice.
Okay.
So that shadowy look where everyone's pretty much always in half shadow, like every scene you see them in. He was one of the main animators on Batman Animated Series, and then they got the music Shirley Walker, who worked with Danny Elfman. So they got like, two big, big names to helm the show. Like, so Todd McFarlane's always good about, he hasn't done TV, so he surrounds himself with, that talent. And in season 2, Madhouse Studios did the animation, which who's anyone familiar with them? They're, a Japanese animation studio that's been around since, the 70s, who've done, some of my favorite stuff, like, Ninja Scroll, The latest thing they did one of the Batman Gotham Knight short stories.
Oh shit!
They did Wicked City, Twilight of the
Oh
Cockroaches.
Jesus Christ! Wicked City,
Perfect Blue.
Woo!
God
damn!
They did the Battle Angel OVA.
Dude, this is some heavy hitters.
Yeah, so that was like and I didn't know I mean, you could see kind of that influence, but that kind of anime influence. But I didn't know they actually had like a big company, doing a lot of the work for them. And also learned that like Peter Chung of Aeon Flux was in talks with them too.
Damn,
of course.
Like,
man,
awesome.
I'm glad you bring up the manga and anime influence because that's the vibe I got. I was like, man, this definitely feels like I don't know, tonally or just like the way it was animated, very similar to a lot of like the anime OVOs at the
dude,
OVAs
Steve Olive, who's the known for his coloring, he was a big anime guy. So
so's Todd. Todd's a big anime. He said it in the past.
Todd and him are like that's big.
He said that
big influences
in Japan. Like he's like, oh man, I fucking read everything there was, Todd, when I was a little boy. Just because Spawn fucking was my jam.
It's like Descent into Madness.
It's all I did. Seriously,
Michael Jordan of comics,
dude. It's all I read when I was fucking little. But he said he's like, the Japanese have been kicking our ass with animation for years, and it's because they don't see it as something that's for children.
It's
like
movies.
It's a medium that can be used as far as for a major motion picture. Like so, there's
same thing with like manga comics.
Sure, yeah.
Well, to add to that, Todd McFarlane is credited as executive producer, but one of the other producers, Catherine Winder, who worked on this show as well, she had started her film career in Japan, and later on, when she worked on Clone Wars, she helped kind of contribute like certain anime and manga elements to the show. So I thought that was kind of like a cool explanation of like why it kind of, to me, felt kind of in the same vein as those older animes and mangas. But I think the thing I wanted to share was that the assassin in this first story arc, Overt's Kill.
The Stan Lee thing?
Yeah. The was originally created by Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane when they were guests on Stan Lee's Comic Great segment.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember like that one?
Where they're drawing and just looking over their shoulder?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's his feet, true believer?
Well, Stan is like,
I don't draw feet, old man.
Stan is trying to sun him. Stan is trying to sun him, and Todd is doing his best to try to like go toe for toe, and then poor Rob Liefeld is the butt of the joke the whole time. But for those that might not be familiar, and the segment's available on YouTube, but Stan prompts both Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane to create a character based on the word overkill. He kind of sets it up like, I've been thinking about this character I want to put in a movie. You guys would be great to do a design for him. His name's Overkill.
How about some free labor, true believers?
Well, it's funny you say that because Todd jokes, I think, with Rob, with Rob saying like, yeah, let's they're fleshing him out. They're drawing the title, the logo, the masthead, the character, and Todd tells Rob like, yeah, in 5 years, we'll be in court battling for his, for the rights for this character. And Stan Lee goes, well, no need to fight over it since it's my creation.
Yeah. That's now we know how Jack Kirby felt.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was like, this does not age well at all.
Yeah.
But in the comics, and I guess in the show too, they add that T for Overt's Kill rather than Overkill, and it was because just to avoid any legality.
That's
right.
So funny. It's funny how Todd is very wise and very savvy on that end, but then on the other side, he'll name his characters after real people.
Right.
He just couldn't help the alliteration,
Yeah.
Tony Twist, he's like, yo, that's a comic book character.
Dude, yeah, he's a comic fan. It's like, how often does that happen in real life? I got to do it, and I'm a hockey fan too.
See, what did you think? What did you think about the voice acting?
Oh, dude, Keith David, his voice is so fucking it's like buttery.
Boy, what?
Dude, do you know what his hold on. Do you know what his look up his Instagram handle, anybody? I think it's Silverthroat. I think that's what he goes by.
That sounds dirty.
I think that's what he goes by on Instagram because his voice.
Silverthroat.
I think my dad had that DVD too. Somewhere.
Which part? Like I got part 35.
Dude, it makes sense though. Like that he is completely aware of how awesome his voice sounds, right? So as soon as he fucking comes on the scene, just some of the fucking, what is he? I'm trying to look up some quotes that he has where he was like, here we go. Jesus, I can't believe they did this. where the clown is like, trolling him, and he's like, "You're about 2 seconds away from wearing that smile around your ass."
Oh.
And he's like, "Yeah, kiss me first." What else does he say? Jesus Christ. This guy's fucking
A lot
crazy.
of fat shaming in Spawn. He really
Oh,
doesn't
dude.
like fat people.
It was a late 90s.
Fat
that
boy.
trend.
Shut your
Yeah.
mouth, fat
Well-
boy.
Well, I think the other notable quote from Keith David in this, at least in these first 3 episodes, well, I think the first arc period, because it reminded me so much. I was like, I feel like my dad has said that, and I wonder if he got it from Keith David. He was like, when Spawn knocks down Tony Twist, he was like, don't ever come after me. But he says, like, if you had a wild hair in your ass, consider it plucked.
That's awesome.
Something to that effect, right?
You're like writing it down. You're
Yeah,
writing
I'm
all
like,
these burns.
okay,
Like you're
got
just
it.
walking around like somebody sasses you at Publix. You're like, "Sir, I don't think
But here's the thing.
you can't order the chicken, sir. It's you see it's not there. Somebody took it. You came at 5 o'clock.
7 a.m.
like it's not ready." And Vatter's like, "As far as I already know, I'm dead,
Oh.
which means I'll be waiting for your ass in the afterlife."
Here's the thing. I feel like it only
He didn't
worked.
do Duke Nukem, did he? He wasn't.
No,
Duke Nukem's
no,
voice.
no,
Oh man,
no.
he'd been great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Ashley, you said that the cartoon for you was. It sounded like it wasn't your favorite medium of the two, right? Between the comic and the show.
I feel bad saying this because he's like such a giant, but I feel like Todd McFarlane, his intro sort of like ruined it for me.
That's fair.
Like it
Yeah.
didn't get me excited about it. I was just like, oh, this
confused.
is like all produced, written, created by this guy.
And it's heavy.
Yeah, and he
Very heavy.
I did it. Me.
he just takes it so seriously, and I don't know if I'm just like jealous of his confidence or something,
His
but
confidence.
it kind of took me out of it. So I enjoyed the comic a lot more. And the comic scene when he it's kind of off scene if he kills those guys, but he saves that woman and then she like comforts him as he's like having
He
like
has,
that
that
was
flashback.
yeah, that was like a really good scene in the comic, and I kind of felt that. And then in the show, anytime he would kind of have a breakdown, I just wasn't feeling it.
The homeless guy would always comfort him. Hey, Spawn.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, buddy, you
want some-
fucked
It
up,
was just
man.
different.
I got some booze and a moldy piece of bread.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's what.
You know what? It hasn't aged well. That's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Some,
here's how fucked up it is. Because this is something that I think maybe Ed and I remember this a little more. That a lot of things that were like rated R, hard R,
Yeah.
were being marketed towards kids in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Terminator 2 action figures, Aliens toys,
Rambo.
Rambo, right? All that shit is like, what is a child doing at the
RoboCop.
theater?
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
What is a child doing at the movie theater watching this shit, right?
Yeah.
So
We're all
it's the
sneaking
same.
in.
So to Ashley's point, I think that's kind of the reason why they had Todd in the beginning, because he was the cool older brother.
Yeah.
That was the marketing. It didn't work because it dates the fucking show. But if you're a little kid like me and you see Todd McFarlane, you don't know fucking what's good and what's bad. You
Yeah.
just see that dude in the fucking sweet black suit with the purple tie. He looks like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh man.
fuck. Who is this guy? Oh man, I like to draw. He draws.
Yeah.
He fucking draws.
That's awesome.
Oh, I want to do
Well, it was
that.
cool because you put a face
There
with
you
the
go.
name. You know.
Sure. You
That
know, and you're
branding,
like,
man.
Yeah,
this
branding.
fucking
Oh, he's
geek
all about
created all
branding.
this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a geek. I want to do it. And now you're you're like an adult looking at this shit like, oh man, Todd.
Dude, and some of just the language is
Todd.
pretty like.
Well, I
Like
feel
when
like
Angela first appeared, remember that?
Yes.
When those two punks, it's like, hey there, Beaver Treat. I'm like, oh god,
Dude,
oh,
dude, I was telling
excuse me,
Bonner,
sir.
in that
Beaver
first
Treat.
episode, the clown jerks off to Wanda's picture and then wipes his on Spawn's cape.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
it's like whatever they could.
gross.
Everything was extreme. Everything was
the 90s, bro.
sleazy.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah,
I feel like there was just no other than Spawn. I felt like he was the only redeeming character because he was so tortured. It
Tony
was like,
Twist's voice, they didn't even try. Like they're like,
God,
maybe they did. Maybe it was a conscious choice to be like,
sleazy.
maybe like
up.
maybe like there's like, all right, give us your Tony there. Or give us a couple lines. And he's just like, yeah, how you doing? It's me, Tony Twist. You know, and they're like, nah, I mean, kind of stereotypical Italian gangster.
It's Mario.
Nah, we're getting there. What else you got? How about if I do it like this? And you're like,
There's a big drop off.
done. Now he sounds like Fat Albert.
But even like when you're introduced to like overkill or overt kill, sorry. Like that conversation he has with Tony Touch, like I had made
Tony
a note.
Touch.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I'm thinking about the DJ. I'm thinking about the DJ Tony Touch. My bad. Getting my Tonys mixed up. Tony Twist.
Oh man.
But when Tony Twist meets Overkill and they have that initial conversation, and even Tony Twist is like, "Yo, you've got no spirit. Like, you got no heart, no soul for killing or anything." And he asks him like, "Do you keep up with the news?"
No, do it right.
Overkill's response was, "Only if it involves death."
Wow.
Like everything about this show is so 90s edgy.
Multi-dimensional character. That Overkill is. It's a deep character.
He said, I mean,
Super
like
90s.
off that bat, you already knew what Overkill was about. There was no additional shades to him. He was all about his hungry bank account. And, you know, and he says, I'll take care of Spawn. You'll have everything but the heart. Because I'll be keeping the heart. Like, well, what? All right.
Did he say he wanted to eat it? Or
Yeah,
something?
he wanted
to eat the heart. Yeah, but if anything, it made me more interested in Spawn. And what I meant to say earlier was that I guess the religious I guess tones of Spawn and everything that is based off of were kind of lost on me for a while. Like because I just never really dived into Spawn. I didn't understand like the true story behind, you know, the battle between good and evil, literally between like the devil and God and whatnot. But then to like learn more about Spawn, like he was a soldier for the United States government, for the United States military, and then finds himself in yet another war, even in the afterlife. Gets played by the devil. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to go see my wife, and he literally does give him the opportunity to see his wife, but that's it. You know, it's like, damn, this dude can't catch a break. Being a black superhero.
There you go. I was about to say. I was like, bring it home, Butter. Bring it fucking home.
I can see Spawn like meeting Luke Cage and being like, "Yeah, let me hear your little sob
Shit.
story." Jail? That's it?
Oh, you went to jail.
Oh, jail. Nice.
Oh, that's it, my
Nice,
brother.
nice.
Jail.
Okay.
Oh, nice, my man. Yeah.
Oh, jail, huh? Sounds bad.
Yeah. Tell me again how the
Experiment
food
to
was
make you-
terrible.
Yeah, experiment to make you superhuman. Oh man, crying tears. I had to go to hell.
I got worms coming out my fucking eye.
Ed, you brought up a little bit about the movie and how Jamie Foxx is supposed to be playing him in the reboot. What are your thoughts on this potential reboot? And are you a fan of the OG movie that came out?
It's a product of its time. You know, it's like one of those 90s. It's a movie by committee, so it's kind of fun to look at it as a, you know, just a timepiece and just like a kind of it's weird, you know, like a John Leguizamo not just saying whatever the hell he wants in the whole movie, just ad-libbing the whole time. And it's interesting. I don't think it was a faithful or an accurate portrayal, but that was I mean, you didn't get that in the 90s with comic book properties.
Sure.
You know, you got like this thing to sell stuff and we got to change everything about it. But with the show, you feel like McFarlane had way more control and way more say-so and influence in it. And as far as the new reboot, it's like we've been hearing about it for 2 years now.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the IMDb, I checked it, and it's still just
Pre-production.
Pre-production. It's Jeremy Renner as Twitch, which is
Right. Really bizarre. Yeah.
very bizarre. But
Jamie Foxx was the one that convinced Jeremy Renner to hop on board with this.
Yeah.
I guess him and Todd were talking, and Todd was like, "Yo, if you can get Jeremy Renner to play Twitch or hop on this project,
I'm a big
that'd
Hawkeye
be tight."
fan. But yeah, the Jamie Foxx, which is great. I mean, he's fantastic, you know. And but the only three names, there's like a Bloom, because it's a Blumhouse,
Right, it's
thing.
Blumhouse.
So it's Jason Blum, those two names, and like an effects guy, and it's all the people. There's no information, no shooting begins, because usually IMDb has all that. You know, shooting begins this, like 35 different behind the scenes people already established, and then as director and writer, it's only Todd McFarlane's name. So it's like he's wanting to do this himself, which is strange for me because in the past he's always, well, I haven't done this. Let me get the best people I can to do this, you know? But it seems like, I don't know if it's an ego thing, because I think he's being pulled in too many directions to tackle this. I can see him overlooking it and overseeing it and consulting on it, but how can he write it, direct it, and run this empire and comics at the same time?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's optimal. And that's why I think, because I read an interview with Michael J. White, he talked about it. He's like, man, Todd's been talking about this for 20 something years to make a movie. And I just, he's basically kind of saying he's just wrapped up in too many other things and he has all these ideas, but I don't know if I think he has too many ideas and he can't focus them and streamline them. So, but he's, he wasn't like shitting on, he's like, I'm like the casting, I'm hoping it gets made, but man, it's going to be, he's been talking about this forever.
Right.
I've aged out of this role. That's how long he's been talking about it.
And speaking about ideas that Tom McFarlane has for this movie, I think one of them is pretty similar to what C brought up about his initial concept of Spawn being kind of an ethereal figure. I think that's the role he wants Spawn to play in this new reboot, is more of like a force of nature that you don't quite see. Yeah. Because I read the same thing where what was the actor's name again?
Michael J. White. He's good. Black Dynamite.
Great movie, by the way. But he brought up Tom McFarlane talking to him about the reboot, and he was like, yeah, Spawn's gonna be more of like a you don't really see him, he's gonna be like this fog or something. Fog. And he was like, yo, best of luck on that, man.
He's like, who is this? It's like, oh, Todd McFarlane. Oh yeah.
So in addition to the reboot that's kind of still seems like in limbo, but it has Jamie
Purgatory.
Would you say it's in pre-production hell?
Oh, good one.
In addition to
this
is
the quality content, you guys.
You paid for this. You fucking paid for it. Don't complain.
Thank you for your money. But Tom McFarlane has recently, and we covered it here on the show when it was announced back in February of this year, that he's planning to enhance the Spawn universe with a shared universe. He unveiled a plan for a multi-character, interconnected comic book universe. He's got folks like, of course, Greg Capullo on board for it. I think Donny Cates is going to be doing a story. Jim Chung, David Finch.
About time.
And even he's also reuniting with fellow Image Comics founder Mark Silvestri as part of this new Spawn universe.
Like Fred Capullo. Who's that? Frank Quietly and Art Adams is one on that list. It's a pretty substantial list of people that are working on this.
Is it enough to possibly get you back into Spawn?
Hell yes. For me, at least.
I think he's trying to create a legacy product by doing this. So he's basically like the titles, there's, the title called Scorched, where it's going to be like his Spawn Avengers title with like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different Spawns. And in a smart businessman, what sells? Number ones. When we had a Spawn related number one? It's been a while, as far as I can remember. But, there's going to be Spawn Universe, Gunslinger Spawn, the Scorched, and King Spawn. I don't know if you saw like this dark metal stuff, and it's like, oh man, what is?
I can do better.
He's like, I created this shit.
Yeah, I was like, what are you guys doing? So it's a smart thing. He's creating more properties, and that's going to all make cool looking toys. He's gonna.
Oh, dude, yeah.
He's gonna.
There goes my money.
Yeah, he's thinking big picture. I'll probably get the number ones. I don't know if I'm gonna be full on. And he is claiming that these are going to be ongoing series. These aren't just mini series. There's going to be ongoing titles. So he wants to create this thing where he's saying, when I look back in 10 years, I've created this big imprint, comic book imprint.
Sure.
And, let's say I hope it works, because it's going to give a lot more people work. It's going to,
I enjoy anytime Tom, that is he's ambitious as hell. And I think that is magnetizing for someone like me. I am magnetized by that, and I'm willing to give any project he's got because of the way he believes in it, and his ambitions. Like he wants to be the next, if he's not already, and he wants to be the next, Marvel, DC.
Yeah, and he's getting the cream of the crop. Those list of names every one of them are
that. All right, that intrigues me, but I'm going to see if they're in it for the long haul.
No.
That's what I want to see. And I'm of the same mindset. How soon before you swap out for your C and D list creative team?
Well, when you want to start with a big splash, you want to start with a bang.
He's going to want my money first.
He's going to get the big names, and then he has like people working for him, so you can have his own. He's a sports guy. He can have his farm system of artists and things, and bring them up to that main roster, and bring them up and do these books. But we're going to have Art Adams doing an issue, or realistically a couple covers. We're going to have these all these big names that we like kind of 90s guys will want to see, like, you know, Art Adams, Wallace Portacio, Mark Silvestri, all those guys. Like, oh yeah, these guys. And then we're going to have the more contemporary guys, you know, these, you know, the Frank Quietly's, and we're going to have this big splash. And then maybe for that first story arc, that first 4 or 5, first trade, and then we can start bringing up people who'll be just as talented, but they won't have that name value, you know?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to pay that payroll. He can cut the pay down after issue 6 and 7.
Actually, how did Spawn perform during your time working at the comic shop? Was it a big pull title?
It wasn't. There weren't many people on it, but it was always those like diehard fans. Like nobody ever came in and was like, I want to start reading Spawn. Like, what do I do?
That Al Simmons came back. That was like kind of people got interested again. Yeah. Which I didn't even know.
Me
he
too.
Left.
Yeah, neither did I.
Like, what do you mean he left? It was like me. He's back.
He's Spawn.
Yeah. What issue was that where all of a sudden like I got the Diamond Order and there were like 10 covers that took up like a whole row because something happened in there. I remember that.
I don't recall.
Yeah, maybe it was like whatever issue like broke that run.
Yeah.
There was just like tons of covers. It took up like like a shelf and a half of like wall space. Yeah.
So we've covered of course, the comic, the show, and I feel like we can't talk about Spawn and Todd McFarlane without covering one of my favorite topics when it comes to him, and that's his motherfucking toys. I see over to my left going through Google, looking up some of these Spawn figures.
Delicious.
And I went down a rabbit hole of trying to find, because his toys
straight to hell.
I guess I'm always surprised by how long this series and this line has run. I think if you look now, it's like up to
almost as long as the comic.
20 something.
Because
he started right.
94?
Yeah, he started like maybe 1 or 2 years after. Yeah,
it was called Todd Toys.
Yep.
Before.
Yeah. It is a long running and very extensive line of figures. And it made for a great late night rabbit hole and Amazon cart building activity. So I wanted to turn to UC and ask, what's one of your favorite iterations of Spawn? Like outside of the comic, do you have a favorite memorabilia or Spawn collectible?
Well, okay, so
because I've been to the studio and you've got some Spawn figures that'll make my collection look like a little 10-year-old toy chest.
Right now, you catch up. Always catch up.
True.
Yeah, spend your money. Spend your money, Spawn.
I've already had a conversation with my bank. Like, hey, these next charges are from me. They may look questionable, but they're from me.
Get rid of that wallet, baby. So my favorite iteration of Spawn, comic book wise, is Greg Capullo. I know that's blasphemy considering it's Todd that created him, but man, once Capullo took over, it was, oh man, his style's so good with Todd inking over him. Mm-hmm. And even Angel Medina, his work is amazing too, right?
Where is that dude?
Yeah.
Where's Angel Medina?
He's in heaven. Yeah, Jesus.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's supposed to be a bad joke about Angel. I should say.
He's in the afterlife. So now my favorite version of Spawn, as far as the toy is concerned, they did Rebirth figures where they're kind of like tributes to the covers. And there's this beautiful picture where it's just Spawn holding the fucking gun up like this. And it's like Todd has gotten to the point in his game where the toys look like statues now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So like you could buy them and put them like beep right there on your desk at work, and
definitely not made to be played with.
Yeah, nobody would look at you and be like, "What's this thing, huh, fairy? You read comics? Oh, you read comic?" And then mush my head inside my porridge or whatever. I don't know, whatever nerds
My
eat.
gruel.
I'll be like, "No, God." But
this is my house.
yeah. Wait, how did you get in? This is where I live. Shut up, nerd! Kicks sand in my face for some reason. There's sand.
Where'd the sand come from?
Right.
All right, this has become a Family Guy.
This is a nightmare. Yeah, then Spawn saves my life because it's my fantasy. And he's like,
nice.
"Don't worry, kid. I got you."
Whatever hair you had up your consider it plucked.
Consider it plucked. Then he shoves my head in the sand. No, then it's like,
no.
Yeah, so the Spawn Rebirth series, they're like they're tall too. They're larger than the regular figures. I think they're 7 inches tall.
He did that on purpose.
Of course, it's a dude. Mic drop. His whole career is mic drops. It's all it is. but it's so beautiful. It's a good figure.
Can you guys help me recall? Suncoast Comics had a few of those statues and toys, right? Like kind of openly displayed. I'm trying to remember where I first started seeing Spawn figures and toys, and I want to say it was at Suncoast.
They're
Comics.
everywhere, dude. They're still being sold at like Walmart and freaking
he's got
Target.
That DC license. He's got stuff up in Target. And
Dude, I saw some shit in Walgreens, man.
Yeah.
Like it's like what?
Big time.
Yeah.
But, there's two figures that I came across that I was like must own. One is Mandarin Spawn.
I got it. It's awesome.
God damn it. Man.
That's awesome.
You were so quick.
Of course I got it. Of course I got it.
That's like a knee-jerk
I'm obligated
reaction.
to do it.
Got it, loser.
There's like
Get up on it.
So what? There's like a Puerto Rican Spawn, and I'm
better
on it.
get-
Like, yeah, dude. There's
He's got like the
he's got
crazy-
a plantain in his hand.
But that's
He's got a lowrider.
as an
That's
outsider.
Mexican Spawn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As an outsider looking in, those iterations of Spawn to me are like gunslinger Spawn.
Mhm.
First time I've seen it, I was like, oh, he is a hit. That is
Well, that's the thing, right? Like if you read the comics, then you know that
so he
Hell's been in the business of making
yeah.
Spawns for a long time.
There's
So like,
medieval Spawn. There's been Spawn,
Wasn't there Spawn
through the ages.
wasn't there
Yep.
a comic series called like Spawn Wars or something where all these different
all the
iterations?
different
yeah,
Spawns.
and I think now we're getting really in the fucking nitty gritty here, boys.
This is what Corey wanted.
This shit is gross.
This is what Corey wanted.
This is the gross shit here. This is where you find out Al Simmons at one point can channel every Spawn that's ever existed and
That's
call
okay.
and like summon them like some sort of necromancer
Oh.
to sick them on people.
Convenience.
Right.
Plot device.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I think the only thing that's
More
not
toys.
I think the
Ashley,
only
do you hold on? Let me ask Ashley a
Uh-oh.
question here. Do you have any interest in any of these toys at all? Like, are you like sitting here like, Jesus fucking Christ, will they shut up about these goddamn action figures?
I collect action figures. I've got tons
Do
of
you?
stuff.
What are some of the action?
Hold on,
figures?
yeah, and I'm interested.
Uh-oh.
What do you
Not
collect?
Spawn though.
No. Lay it on us.
I have a bunch of Walking Dead stuff.
That's
Oh.
McFarlane.
My
That's true.
yeah, like the nice ones are McFarlane.
There you go.
You have that. Sorry, you got that Michonne one where she's got the two Michonne. Yeah, Michonne one with the two zombies.
Michonne.
Yeah, because it came out when I was working at the when I was working at the comic shop, so it would come in and I would just kind of grab it.
Dibs.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I do. I have a lot of like not a lot, but some Hot Toys stuff, and yeah,
Oh, expensive stuff.
I've got a good.
Ashley's like, no,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
yeah,
high end
that's it.
dealer.
That's it. That makes
Well,
sense.
if you work at the
She's
shop,
like-
it's way more.
Because
Yeah.
I was about to say
Doable.
the reason why I haven't bought more Spawn figures is because most of the time the motherfuckers is like $60 and $80.
Mhm.
Not if you steal them.
Steal that shit.
Well, I'm hoping you invite me to the house one more time in the next month.
Oh shit!
But of course, Ashley would be like, ha, Hot Toys is where I dabble.
Articulated action figures, please. No, thank you.
Well, I guess I'll go. I'll look to.
Children.
I'll like to you see or Ed. If someone is interested in jumping into Spawn, is there a good outside of maybe starting with issue 1? Is there a good story arc or period that you would recommend? That'd be like maybe the most
The
new
first
reader
100
friendly?
issues, you could stop.
Yeah.
Actually, you could. No, I don't.
Please.
I'm not gonna like say stop, but like you really could stop after the first 100 issues.
I think if you're not a comics person, I think the show is more a
Wait,
concise
more-
storyline.
Sure.
This
As far as
animated one that we
storytelling.
talked?
Yeah, the
Okay.
animated, the HBO show. I think if you're on the fence, I would watch. And if you like the tone of the first few episodes, then you'll probably like the comic. But I think as far as storytelling and the structure of it, like I said, when you go back and revise it, you can have events kind of happen quicker. And I think at first season is, I think the storytelling is really well done. How they have all the characters interact with each other. They introduce them pretty quick in the series. So I would say the HBO cartoon.
I am kind of interested in what transpires in the second season because, like you said, when they brought in who was that director for season 2?
The Madhouse Studios.
Yeah. When they brought him in, I know it starts picking up, and they introduce like I think Angela shows up and some of the other
Beaver Treat.
Yeah,
Ugh,
Beaver Treat.
So gross.
I am curious about, and it ran for 3 seasons. Actually, that was one thing that.
The third season is
Yeah.
pretty wonky.
It is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Hard to
he,
watch.
where he disguises himself as Terry and has sex with Wanda.
So weird.
Yeah, you can't do that today because the cape, you can do that. In the third season, the cape can transform you into things. So he transformed himself into Terry while he was missing and had sex with his former wife
Yeah.
as disguised
So-
as someone else. Can't do that.
So I'll just stop at season 2 then. All right.
Yeah.
So stop at issue
Yeah.
100. Stop at
Season
season 2.
two.
yeah, season 2 is the peak, and then kind of goes off the rails. Season 3, like Terry's in an opium den or something.
Oh my
like
God,
crazy,
dude.
where he gets kidnapped.
it's-
It's what's going on.
Do you guys think that Tom McFarlane has achieved his goal of making Spawn a household name, or do you think there's still more work to be done?
In the 90s,
I think a household name, maybe not so much. I think that's
Not
why he's
now.
still working on it. But yeah, I think that's what he wants. I think he wants, when people say to the average, person, look, name a comic book character. I was like, Spider-Man, Superman, Spawn. I think he wants that. I think
Right.
that's his validation as a creator. He wants his character to be as evergreen as these characters with, so much history. He wants, when people say, "Oh, name your favorite 3 comic book superheroes," and he wants to be on that list.
yeah, that's going to be hard to do.
Because, like I said, it's time. I mean, it's going to be beyond all of our, this.
Well, and also where this is now we're more fucking nitty gritty here. The psychology of where our country is too. So
Yeah.
like culturally, morality has kind of you have characters that are sort of based in a sort of like good, evil, black, white type morality, where Spawn is basically trying to turn that on its head.
Mhm.
While also still trying to establish to the reader, by the way, I am a good person.
Yeah.
But how do you do that if he ended up in hell, right? Like,
Mhm.
you have to set it up that heaven and hell are kind of crooked, and it's like, well, then it's not really based off Christianity.
And that's the
It's
thing,
based
'cause
off of some weird
the
thing in
redemption's
Todd's
not
head,
over.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. You could read issue 1 through 100, and you get everything that you pretty much need, right? With spoilers, right where Spawn basically reaches King Bowser and saves the princess. Essentially, like he basically wins at issue 100. And I won't spoil that much, but like Heaven essentially is like, "Yo, you good now? You good?" And he's like, "Fuck you guys," of course, because it's Todd McFarlane. He has to keep the series going. So he's like, I don't want to work for Heaven. I don't want to go to heaven.
God every night.
Yeah.
Top of his mansion.
I don't want to go to hell.
I'll show you.
I'm going to do my own fucking thing. I don't need anybody.
Is that where they base the Spawn redemption action figure from Series 5? The wings?
With the wings?
Yeah.
Yes, because they show him a vision of what he could possibly be.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want that shit.
Ugh.
That's fucking weird.
He's like, yo, I look stupid
Weak.
with wings.
yeah, he's like, I look fucking metal right now.
Yeah. Give me some metal wings like fucking Archangel if I'm getting
Right.
wings.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Or
cover,
bat
that first issue has so much. I mean, from that cover that's been aped quite a few times. To that epic. I love that splash panel, or actually that one
where
page
you have to
panel.
turn the comic like a centerfold.
Yes, but also the one where he's just like standing
90s.
over that cross. I think it was a few pages in, but
Oh, yeah.
man, he knows what he's doing. Ashley, did this comic or show respect your time? What's your final say and your final grade on it?
Final. Is she going to hell?
Choose wisely.
I'm gonna give it a C+.
Oh.
Okay.
Awesome.
Would you tell that to Corey Torgerson in his face next time you see him?
Yeah.
Does Corey like Spawn that much, or was he just trying to be like,
I don't know.
talk about Spawn, guys? Yeah.
Maybe he heard our top 5 list where I said Todd McFarlane was
I
the
feel
Michael
like
Jordan of comics.
This pick might be motivated by some sort of like strange religious
Yeah.
repression where maybe he wasn't allowed to read this sort of thing. And then like he's like got into it as a result of like, yeah, this was fucking contraband. Spawn, you think you've had a bad day? Like
So
I need to add that to the tier list.
yeah.
Get psychoanalyzed by one of us for $5 a month.
Butter, please. My rates are $50 an hour.
At least.
Go ahead,
Did this
Ashley.
this comes out Wednesday, right?
No, this is a
bonus,
this
lady.
is a Patreon exclusive.
So it's
Exclusivo.
Only a
okay.
handful will hear this.
Say what you want.
No, I'm gonna see Corey on Tuesday, so I don't want to it's gonna come out before Tuesday.
Probably not.
Okay, well then I'll go ahead and say it. It didn't really respect my time. I would have rather been at the beach, but it's cool. Like I get
That's such
why
an
Spawn
Ashley
is
thing
so
to say.
Why didn't you bring Spawn to the beach?
Too dark.
too dark for the beach.
Yeah.
I understand what why it's so popular. I really do. It's
You
just
see the
not my
appeal of
thing.
it.
I see
Yeah.
the appeal of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I exist.
Oh. I think for like if you at a certain time when you're especially a male, if you're in that age group, like preteen, teen, when Spawn comes out,
dude,
in the '90s, fuck yeah, that's
It's
the
the coolest thing
ever.
Yeah,
To be honest, I think
Todd
it's-
McFarlane said it. He said, "Right now, hell is cool, and fucking bats and monsters and all this
Chains,
shit.
yeah.
Like
Spikes,
evil is
long
cool right
capes.
now." He's
He's
like,
Dr. Evil now.
"If that changes," he says, "if that changes, then I'll change." But right now, for the moment, that's
now
what's
it's like I'm
fucking
not
cool.
changing for shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when you look up the definition of cool, I think it has a little asterisk that says whatever Todd McFarlane
See
is currently
Todd
doing. Yeah,
McFarlane's,
see whatever he's doing. You know, whether it be the toys.
Skip his intros.
Man, I love those intros so much.
So bad.
Well, actually,
so ridiculous.
Actually,
so ridiculous.
I want to real quick. I want to go back to.
Hey,
real quick
Ashley
and
gave
say-
it a C plus. Okay,
No,
it
it's
was
fair.
a plus. There's
Exactly. Well, I want to know from an artist's eye, what are some artistic traits or elements
This sounds
that you
mad
respect?
setupish.
I mean, I think he's a good artist. Like I have the same
all right.
drawing desk as he does, so I was like super excited.
Oh.
But he's a good inker. Like I like the way that he draws the cape, and he just has a lot of like real like designy elements to it. So I have
It's
no
like she
problems
talks
with
like
the
she's
art.
patting him on the head. Like, oh, I like a little cape. Oh, that's so nice. Look at you.
She's still on that Marie Severin high.
Yeah.
Very good.
Here's
Yes,
the
yes.
chocolate.
Thank you.
So Werther's original. Here you
I'll
go.
clean it up.
Oh, chains. That's very original.
Isn't that sweet?
And see, I guess, and seeing Ed from a revisiting both the comic and the cartoon for this episode, has your opinion changed? Has it resonated with you guys in any new way?
I'll spin your head around so you can see your smiling ass. I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna do sick
you should.
Keith David Burns every time. My opinion's changed as far as what I'm gonna do with you after we're done. Fuck that shit. No, man. I mean, it's Spawn. You know, like, I got a soft spot for Spawn. You know, like, because it's like it scratches every itch that middle school me had, right? Like for a long time growing up, I didn't think I liked music, but it was only because I didn't hear the kind of music I would end up liking, you know?
What
like,
are you listening to?
dude, my mom and dad listened to the dumbest shit.
Really?
When I was little. It was like a mixture of like
It's all like
weird, like Three Dog Night B-sides and,
damn.
there's nothing wrong with
like
Three Dog
Lawrence
Night.
Welk or
Well, no, my mom does like Lawrence Welk. Dude,
Three Dog Night
three-
B-side.
dude, my
Three Dog
mom,
Night B-sides.
my mom liked
Not even the hits.
dude, not even.
Wow.
My mom liked Lawrence Welk. Yes, she did.
What is a B-side?
And then I went over to my buddy's Chris
Whitest
house.
Music ever. Okay.
I went over to my buddy's Chris house, and he played me Metallica's One.
Oh,
The first Metallica song I ever heard was
Oh.
fucking One, dude.
nice.
Yeah, right? So I was kind of like, God damn it, this shit jams.
Mm.
What is this? And he's like, it's fucking metal. Because, you know, his mom smokes, so his voice was fucked up. She smoked in the house. This was the 90s,
Oh
kids,
my
all right?
God.
Don't judge.
You get in trouble for smoking when you got home because you just smelled
I
like cigarette
smelled
smoke?
like fucking. He had a jean jacket, and his dad
Oh,
wasn't around.
gross.
You know, like he was like, "Listen to this Metallica," and I was like, "I love it."
Nice.
And then after that, it was like, "This music's awesome. I think I like music." And then all of the imagery associated with it,
like comics now.
yeah, comics, and then like fucking Spawn came out just at that
Oh,
sweet spot, right?
That's interesting.
You know,
Because I was a big metalhead too. So that's yeah,
dude,
it's hand in hand.
It was around the time my metal awakening started
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah, same.
Fucking, I wanted to draw. Like
Oh,
I
got
was.
Master of Puppets. I think.
Come on,
It's
man.
a set
There you go, dude. You know, man.
One of
You
my
know.
favorite.
at the NAS base.
Oh, fuck yeah,
yeah.
dude. Oh, Jesus. You go to the commissary and like, you're like, I'll just stay here while you guys out of eye shot, going to the fucking exchange and buying all these metal
Exchange was
CDs.
Awesome.
One of my favorite things about the show is watching Ed
Oh.
and Cesar bond over old guy shit.
Oh,
It's
It's
just
not,
great.
it's
It's
just
heartwarming.
coming of age, man. Spawn was like a coming of age book for me, you know, like it
Yeah.
helped me figure out like what I was going to be into, the kind of shit I liked, you know. It was a gateway drug for more
1000%.
things, like Ed was talking about. Like Tom McFarlane, for all his, you know, all the things he has done that are like questionable. he at least name dropped Kirby in the beginning and said, "This is for you, fucking king." You know, like, and that got, you know, a young Ed into fucking Jack Kirby, and it got a young me into looking more into.
And I didn't even put that
all that
together
shit.
until I reread it. I was
Right,
like,
man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jack, okay.
That's
Yeah.
I definitely missed the train when Spawn first came out. I mean,
You're a
between
little
not
bit younger. Yeah.
between not being able to watch
2
the
years
show,
old.
Jesus, your first exposure
justifiably
was
so,
your dad's fucking
Yeah.
telling you to get out of the room
Yeah.
because there was titties.
No, not even real titties, like cartoon titties.
Get out of here, boy.
2 pairs of cartoon titties. I mean, it was overload. And I kind of wish I would have been on that. I would have got on that train sooner because I'd be curious where my taste would have gone, whether it would have been comic books or music. But to this day, and maybe that's why to this day he's a fascinating character for me. Like I think I've learned to respect the man behind it a lot more first. But Spawn is still a character that I look at and just can't help but think, like, damn, that is still the coolest character one of the coolest characters I've ever seen in my life. And still to this day, I like reading that first issue was still like, damn, this is so badass. This is like a solid product.
I think this is, man, I don't want to leave on a bummer, but I don't think until Spawn somehow, I don't know, it's got to find its way. It has to find its niche because the character is based, right? Like you got like all these other iconic superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and all these people. Essentially, these heroes are rooted in either some sort of, you know, mythology that's existed for a long time, that has been so part of the human psyche that it just changes shape no matter what epoch we're living in, or it's loosely based off of humanizing or updating those kind of things, right?
So
like
relatability.
Right. So that's where Marvel kind of made their bread and butter, right? They took the gods and they made them a little more, they turned the humanity
They gave them
up
human
to 11,
problems,
right?
Like paying bills, and,
Right.
you know,
But,
that kind of stuff.
Well, those human problems existed with Clark Kent, right? Like Clark Kent, no Peter Parker, like right down to Peter wearing glasses and being a photographer. Like it's all just turned up to 11, right?
Yeah.
The thing with Spawn is that it represents a much smaller part of the human experience. The want to basically rebel, to subvert against authority, to basically be like, you know, those kind of characters. Obviously, you have them like Loki, you know, with classic mythology, Loki, Satan, Jesus, even like within Native American traditions, you have like the rabbit is a trickster god, which is where we get fucking Bugs Bunny in our psychology, right? It's a very American character. Like those guys aren't really like the forefront of what everybody thinks of, you know, at least consciously.
Yeah.
So Todd's got an uphill battle going if he wants to continue to create an edgelordy type character.
Yeah, the religious angle is probably off-putting because he is basing it on like a Christian Christianity.
But that's okay. The thing is, he's not. I think if he leans harder into that, it'll work. The problem is we just happen to have a country built on puritanical standards. So he's literally always going to be the underdog if he allies himself with hell.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think there's a relatability, like you were saying earlier, issue with him because we can't, you know, I think if he was like a Peter Parker, we can't really relate to a ex-CIA hitman or whatever government assassin turned hell, hell demon. But we can relate to the emotional part with his, with Wanda and Cyan and his friend.
Sure. Like a lot of those. It's funny, man. Like you could look at some, like, dude, we're talking about wrestling. You can look at some of these superheroes from like back in the day and you can see they have ties to like, oh, okay, Superman is like basically his costume's a tribute to like the strongmen of the carnival, right? And like Batman, as clownish as his costume is, yes, I can admit it, in comparison to characters like the Shadow that he's based off of, where like it's literally a blob of like darkness and then it congeals into a dude with like a fucking fedora who looks like dapper as shit and his red scarf, and he shoots you with like 245s, right? Like you can see where like all that shit comes from. Todd, the thing is that he's got an uphill battle going for him. It's like almost he gets in his own way. Yeah. Because he's like, I'm gonna make him like you said, fucking he's an ex-CIA operative hitman who's a retired lieutenant colonel in the fucking Marine Corps, and And he draws that hard line in the sand, straight up like he is a black dude who is visually upset that when he uses his powers, he can't turn into a black dude.
Yeah, there's an expression it's called putting a hat on a hat. Like we're doing too
there you
much.
go.
There's like we're putting a lot of material
Dude,
in this.
There's a fucking
You
living
can't go back.
necro
Yeah,
suit
exactly.
on
You
top
said
of that hat.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's like, well, he's this too, and he's also this, and he's also this.
Right.
And how about this?
Right. So like think of like the edgiest hats that any character in mythology has ever worn. Like, like, oh, Satan wears this hat and Loki wears this hat. And fucking Anansi wears this hat and da 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 da. And he took all those hats and threw them on fucking Spawn and said, "Deal with it, America." Like, here you go. Like, it's cool.
There's a confrontational aspect to that character,
dude.
And that's off-putting.
It's rooted in the same mythology. It's like, I'm gonna buck you somehow. I refuse to be somebody's spawn. Like it's the best thing and worst thing about the character.
I'm curious to see if this movie reboot and this new multiverse or connected story that he's planning. I'm curious to see what Spawn's profile is in the next couple of years. I wonder if these two properties or these two new projects will do anything to help make that more of a household name, like he's trying.
I think if he gets the right people involved and he kind of can take a little bit of a step back, not a big step back, but
some fresh blood, new eyes,
fresh blood, a quality
hire
director,
me,
cinematographer.
Hire me.
But you have if Jamie Foxx is still attached to it. I mean, that's a legitimate Oscar award-winning, versatile actor, comedian. I mean, he does everything.
He's
very well.
And he's someone that wants to play this project.
And he wanted to. Yeah, he was excited. I mean, I just read a couple interviews. He's excited about doing this character if this ever comes to fruition. And having like a Blumhouse attached to it, he can get that R and hopefully not have too many hands in the pot, messing with it.
I think the best route is me, of course, knowing everything about everything. Todd, you know nothing. No, I mean,
he's counting his money.
Right.
What was that?
Exactly. Right.
Go carry on.
Because I just realized, like,
short box what?
Yeah, I just realized my opinion might sound that way. But I think it would be. I think the best thing he could do right now is lean into the true crime thing. Like, make the story like resemble, like mix, like, okay, Spawn's going up against a serial killer, which they've done in the comic, but it's not like, it's still very kind of cartoony and like, you're like, oh man, this is weird. Like, he's a fucking demon vampire guy with laugh gorilla, and it's weird and colorful and garish. Like, if they lean into something more real like that, and it's like David Fincher's Seven, and then like on top of that, you have Spawn that shows up, and they don't really explain like what he is until maybe, I don't know, the third movie. You could just have like fucking Jamie Foxx. Dude, can you imagine Jamie Foxx just shows up with fucking green eyes? His face looks jacked, like burned, like fucking horribly scarred, and he's just wearing like a green sort of like beanie, and he's like dressed like a homeless dude, and they're like, what the fuck are you? And he's just like, I'm a friend, and you just be like, Jesus, are you? I don't know, can we trust this guy? I don't know, but he seems to want to catch this fucking Richard Ramirez type guy that has been plaguing
Billy Kincaid.
Yeah, right, a Billy Kincaid. Like, it could work. It really could work, but I think he'd have to lean more into like crime pulp source material and less the Bible.
So you'd have like Sam and Twitch to be the main.
Hell yeah! I think that's kind of what he's trying to do with Jeremy Renner.
Yep.
Like, that would be awesome.
Ashley, can you get us on the phone, Todd?
Yeah.
That wasn't a denial. That was not a denial. She was like,
I took one of his.
You guys are
silly.
No.
He taught a semester at Ringling when I was there. We had lunch a couple times.
Oh yeah.
No big deal.
She's like,
I'm going on his yacht after this.
back at my
and letting him know all the shit y'all talked about.
During my time at the Joe Kubert Art School.
Ashley, what's the next? What is the next comic book animated show or cartoon you want us to cover? Where should we go after?
Damn.
Where should we go after?
Ashley,
this?
did you know he was going to spring this on you?
No, I didn't.
Was it in the notes?
No, I don't think so. Okay.
No, I'm trying. Well, because you have to remember, I did not have a TV growing up.
I apologize. You're
so I didn't like watch all this stuff as a kid. I kind of watched it later in life, just people being like, "Hey, you need to watch this."
Actually, I'm going to ask you a serious question.
Uh-oh.
Are you from another planet? Are you doing your best impersonation of a person right now? Like she's like, guys, I remember watching Fresh Prince. Ha 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 ha.
I don't think that would change anything. I'd still
No.
be like, what? You got to come in next Sunday still, though.
Like,
I was
like Ashley just comes in like, do you guys remember Capri Suns? Ha 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 ha. Ecto Cooler.
Oh, now it makes sense.
I
It all
enjoy
makes
high
sense
fives. Ha 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 ha.
Loki is hot.
Loki is hot. Zach Morris has cell phone.
Well, not to blow up Ashley's spot.
No,
I will
I
say
think I just did.
it doesn't change a thing, Ashley. You're still part of the show, even if maybe you've never had a Capri Sun in your life.
If you're a time traveler,
yeah, that'd be tight. So
lizard person. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah, but I think we are at a good stopping point. I want to go ahead and thank Corey for selecting
for all of this madness.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey, for
It's because
ruining.
of you.
Thanks for ruining Ashley's beach day, Corey.
Yeah.
I've been at the beach.
Oh, I'm gonna make you guys watch My Little Pony.
I'll watch
Oh
it.
darn!
Call you all bronies.
Butter is
I
already
literally
there.
have a
Yeah.
brony.
Butter is a
But
brony.
yeah, try something hard.
Butter got so scared by his dad telling him to leave the room that he just went right into Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, I was like, I almost went into it last night. I needed like a palate cleanser. I was like, man, I'm really fucking disappointed in humanity after that. But like, thank you so much, Corey, for selecting Spawn. I know for me it was fun to read the comic book and kind of revisit
Hell yeah.
the lore and things like that. Like I said, next episode we'll be covering gargoyles. Thanks to patron Blake for that suggestion, and then I'll open up a poll and get new suggestions for future episodes.
He was making that at the same time he was making Spawn. Isn't that crazy?
That dude's prolific. That dude's IMDb is crazy.
Oh man, he's got one of those
Constantly
IMDb's.
working.
He's got one of those IMDb's that you have to click view all because
Yeah.
the first
Oh, yeah.
4 you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I know he's
No,
done more
been
than
working
that,
since the 70s.
and then
That
it's
dude's
like,
busy.
here you go, yeah,
Acting
for sure.
and voice talent.
For
It's
sure,
crazy.
for sure. So patrons, I think it's safe to say this is the end of our episode today. Thank you guys so much for your attention and your time, and most importantly, thank you guys for your fucking money.
Most important.
But honestly, if you're listening to this, it means that you're an active Patreon subscriber, and you
we
really
love you
are.
more.
Yeah, we love you more, and you are helping us keep the lights on here at the Shorebox Studio. So thank you guys so much. Really, we do appreciate
One
it.
light on.
Another.
Is anyone else's fur coats like really hot?
Yeah, we don't need the lights on. We need the AC on. So
Is anyone's
don't mind.
gold
My hand's
Rolex
full of ice.
Is anyone's
Thank you.
Rolex has it stopped working?
only you.
Oh, okay, mine. Got it. I knew
Mine's
I had the
great.
bootleg.
It's okay. I'm gonna make a deal with the devil just to fucking come back to your ass.
Once again, a big shout outs to Corey Torgerson for picking this episode's topic. We'll get some more suggestions from you guys soon. In the meantime, let us know what you thought about what was your first exposure to Spawn. What did you guys think about the animated show if you were watching it when it was coming out? We'd love to hear what you have to say. And we always welcome emails. Write us something short and sweet and send it to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves and continue to make mine and yours Shortbox.
Go to hell.